Hello and welcome again to IELTS Writing. As you know, we have covered 9 sentence types and it's time to see if we can write a full-fledged essay using these 9 sentence types. So I gave a challenge to my students to write an essay. It was a pair work where they selected an essay topic and then they wrote the essay sentence by sentence on the board using these 9 sentence types. Now in today's video, I'm going to discuss an essay that was written by two of my students, Evan Ronan and Krishna Venu. I just facilitated their writing by suggesting a possible sentence type that might go with the flow of the essay. I didn't have a plan to deal with nominalization, but then I got a suggestion and all suggestions are welcome. So thank you Namita for this suggestion to include nominalization in my IELTS video. So I have included some explanation on nominalization in this. The question that was taken was an advantages-disadvantages essay. Opinion was not asked, just the benefits and drawbacks had been asked. So let's go straight ahead to the essay. The question is, globalization has had both advantages and disadvantages. Discuss. Now this question does not have a question statement. Apart from the task statement, it has a background statement, kind of like an observation. So we just need to directly write the thesis after giving a general statement. The students chose to write the general statement using present perfect. Actually, the whole essay ended up having a lot of perfect tense. It seems more apt considering the question. This was the sentence. Globalization has opened up the economy of most nations. The thesis statement was written using although. Although the integration of the whole world into a global village has benefits, it also has brought drawbacks. This serves both as a rephrasing and as a thesis statement. Since opinion has not been asked, there's no effort to make one look more than the other. So here actually you can notice nominalization. Nominalization is when we convert verbs or adjectives into nouns or noun phrases. Now in this case, we could have written that the whole world has been integrated into a global village and this has brought benefits. However, there have been drawbacks. We could have written something like that, but then it would have meant an extra sentence. So we have been able to successfully shorten the explanation using nominalization. So one of the functions of nominalization is to reduce the number of words required for the explanation. So one way to decide whether to use nominalization is to think if this will increase the number of words or reduce the number of words required. Instead of using the word integrate as a verb, we have used it as a noun. We have written the integration. So that is how you convert a verb into a noun phrase. Here are some other examples. Examples of adjective nominalization. You can shorten a description into a collective group like the migrant here. But notice that the overall effort has been to make the writing more concise. You can pause the video and see how the sentence has been changed. Another benefit is that nominalization helps us to talk about something as a concept rather than as an action, and therefore it makes the writing look more scientific because in science we tend to talk about concepts rather than actions most of the time. And our intention here has merely been to rephrase the concept, the word globalization, using a number of words. Now the first body paragraph. A simple sentence was used for the topic sentence. Since we are writing benefits and drawbacks, we can mark the first paragraph using on the one hand. On the one hand, globalization has been beneficial in various ways. For the next sentence, I suggested the use of gerund subject. So this is what they came up with. Increasing trade between nations has meant a faster rate of improvement in the living standards of people. So since increasing trade is a trend, I suggested that it would be better to speak of the result as something that is a rate.
I asked for relative clause in the next sentence, and since they were going to write example, they used this sentence. Kenya, which is a third world country, showed a 7% growth in GDP in 2021 after policy reforms in international trade. Now, since a specific year in 2021 is mentioned, we would not be saying has shown, we would be using simple past in this case. Now, the problem was this example does not totally explain the point that we gave. There is still the rate of improvement in living standards to be accounted for. So we had to write the result of this. This in turn has led to an increase in the average disposable income of the Kenyan population as per BBC reports. We couldn't continue the sentence with which in turn, so we used it as a separate sentence, this in turn. So then I challenged them to refer to this point as a summary and then lead on to the next point. So this is what they wrote. Besides improving the living standards of people, globalization has provided a range of options to them in a number of areas. The besides usage is just an attractive way of writing apart from this, or besides this, or in addition to this. Please remember to check how to write these sentences accurately in the previous videos of this writing playlist. It was logical to use parallel sentence structure for the next sentence because we had to speak about a range of options. Since range is singular, we'll reference it using this. This includes opportunities in higher education, choices in terms of employment, and facilities when it comes to healthcare. So we use 3 parallel noun phrases for options in terms of opportunities, choices, and facilities depending on the different areas. It felt apt to summarize the 2 points using not only but also. Thus, globalization improves not only the financial stability but also the satisfaction level of the general population. Moving on to the next paragraph, students used despite to contrast the beneficial outcomes with the damaging consequences. Again, we refrained from highlighting any one, that is benefits or drawbacks, as more by avoiding the use of words like several or a few. Of the remaining types of sentences, the students used gerund linking and while for the next couple of sentences. Also notice the use of nominalisation. Kind of comes naturally here. The availability of various machine-made products at cheap rates has adversely affected local businesses, leading to a decline in traditional products. So gerund linking has been written for the result, leading to. Similarly, while access to myriads of products has increased convenience and comfort for the general population, cultural diversity has been lost. The explanation would have been too long if we had written people have access to myriads of products and this has increased convenience, which however has resulted in. So we can avoid all this explanation by using nominalisation. By speaking about the development and its effect. My students then used a comparative to write the example. For instance, in most countries, there is a greater demand for Western clothing than for traditional ones. They borrowed this sentence type from task 1 sentences. Again, you have nominalisation here because the preference has been highlighted and not people who have this preference. So using the pseudo subject there to give an impersonal tone is another example of nominalisation. The conclusion, as we don't need to say whether advantages or disadvantages are more, we can just use whereas to compare the benefits and drawbacks. We have 2 benefits, 2 drawbacks, so we use parallel sentences and connect them with whereas. Pause the video and notice the parallel usages and how they've been connected using whereas. So this is the whole essay. The second paragraph appears slightly shorter, but the number of words add up to 255. So that's just right. And we have been able to write this essay using the 9 sentence types. If you've repeated words a lot, you would need to think of some other synonyms for them. Even if you've used a word like globalization a number of times, make sure at least the spelling is correct. So here the British spelling is using an S. So follow what is there in the question and write globalization with an S. In any case, here we wanted to focus only on the sentence structures. So there you are, the 9 sentence types and a full essay. You needn't be too bothered about nominalization as long as you understand brevity. Nevertheless, I hope you have gained some ideas on nominalization and you have developed the confidence to build a whole essay with just these 9 sentence types. I will be discussing other sentence types, but I just wanted you to know it's important to do smart work and not hard work. That is, learn just a few sentence types thoroughly, and then you will be able to give not only variety but also accuracy when it comes to grammar in your IELTS writing exam. See you soon. Bye bye. Enjoy your IELTS.